What's up, happy campers? This is the safety episode. Happy campers, how are y'all doing? You doing all right? I know it's hot out there. Real hot. In fact, I am in my gym clothes, just went to exercise, and I wanted to get this video done because today is supposed to be 106. So I wanted to get over here to my storage unit where we keep our camping supplies, and I wanted to get this done and taken care of. So like I said, it's going to be 106 out today. So one of the first things we should talk about is heat exhaustion. Heat exhaustion is a real problem, and you have to take it seriously. You may think, hey, I'm a tough person, I can handle this, no problem, I got this. I have seen someone go to the hospital over dehydration because they thought they were tough. Granted, it was 125 degrees out, and it was in Kuwait. But at any rate, they didn't take it seriously. They weren't drinking enough water. We had to walk a quarter of a mile from our office to the dining facility in Kuwait. And he wound up in such bad shape, he had to go to the hospital. So heat exhaustion should totally be taken serious. This is definitely a part of health and safety. So when you're out there camping and it is hot, and if you're out there and after 12 o'clock until 5, 6 o'clock, it's gonna be hot. You need to make sure that you're staying hydrated. So I always take a lot of water with me. In fact, I just drank all this because I was at the gym. But I always think of drinking water and going to the bathroom like an oil change. Our bodies are an engine and they can overheat. If you're constantly changing out the fluids, you will run and perform much better. Drink a lot of water, pee a lot. Yes, I just said pee. Anyway, it can be an inconvenience having to go to the bathroom more frequently, but you will stay healthier and in better shape. So I highly recommend it. Whatever you can do to find shade. If you're going to be out in the water, make sure you've got some sunscreen on, because sunburns obviously are something not to be taken lightly, especially since they can lead to skin cancer someday. If you can find something to do even where there's air conditioning. So us personally, we don't have an RV yet, but we enjoy camping mostly for the mornings and the evenings. Those hot afternoons, if we can't be in the water, we personally would like to use that time to maybe go in the RV and watch a movie. You know, once the heat calms down, go back outside, cook some burgers over an open fire, roast some marshmallows, and have a nice night and enjoy the stars. That hot afternoon needs to be taken seriously. So make sure you're taking care of that and being very serious about that.
So let me tell you about swimming in water. So always wear water shoes. Always. Because I got cut in the water. We were playing in the lake and I tripped over, like, there's trees, and I tripped over a root that goes from a tree, and I got cut by one. So one of those cut me very badly. So wear water shoes. Yeah, wear water shoes.
I don't have my first aid kit here. My first aid kit actually goes into the house or in camping with us. That way it's more used frequently and we keep our first aid kit up to date. We did have a problem on our last camping trip. We found a nice shaded spot under some trees on the beach at Lake Somerville. The problem with that is there was a lot of roots poking up under the sand. Kaylin stepped on a root and actually got a deep gouge in her foot. So when we got back to the campsite looking at the first aid kit, and all we had were some little Black Panther cute little band-aids, and we didn't have anything serious to help her out. So I ran to the store, got something more serious that was waterproof, much bigger, that could help seal it up. We did have some Neosporin on hand, which that's good for those kinds of cuts. But keep up with that first aid kit. Check on it regularly to make sure that you have everything you need.
Cut once, and I got poked once.
Yeah.
So I was in there, I already got cut, and I was walking over there, and then all of a sudden you step on something.
That's a pretty bad cut. I hope it doesn't get infected. I love you. I love you.
What happens if it does?
Then you have to go to the hospital. and that's kind of where we didn't want to go. I love you.
And here is a little tip that you probably haven't heard all that often. If you're in Texas, rattlesnakes are here. My next door neighbor had a 4-foot rattlesnake in his backyard. It's right next to my house. So a part of your first aid kit, I recommend you keep children's Benadryl chewable tablets. Keep plenty of them in your first aid kit. I have read this tip. When you are rushed to the hospital to get the anti-venom for a rattlesnake bite, they have to prep it, and it takes some time, and you've got a lot of swelling and pain. The way that they control it is by giving you Benadryl to help reduce the swelling, because it's like an allergic reaction to the venom. So they recommend putting children's Benadryl tablets in your first aid kit. That way, if you've got a kid there, they can take less, and if you've got an adult, you can give them more of the tablets. That way you can help control the swelling as you're going to the hospital. So that is a great tip to have in your first aid kit if you're going to be anywhere near rattlesnakes. And if you're outside of Texas, the first rattlesnake I ever saw was in the Black Hills in South Dakota. So they're out there. If you have been watching any of my videos, and I know I've got a lot of new fans of our channel based on our video about putting an air conditioner in your tent. Now, that air conditioner draws a lot of power, and we just learned the hard way that we were not taking our extension cord serious enough. I've got this, I believe it's either 100 or 150 feet. You can see it, I keep it on this roller, and then that way I can just roll out how much I need. Now on our last trip, we were popping, not necessarily the breaker, but the 110 outlet had a little thing you can pop in and out, kind of like you see in your bathroom, and it kept popping, and we weren't really sure what was going on. So we went to bed our second night. The first night we were fine. The second night we're going to bed, and it pops again. And this was laying next to my bed, and I reached down, and this thing coiled up, right? We only needed maybe 20 feet of cord. So we had an excessive amount of cord. This thing was hot, very hot. And so it's late at night. I went out of the tent, and what I was going to do was, since it was all wrapped up tight, I tried to unroll it, but it was so hot already it was melting together. Let me take some of this apart and show you. Okay, I've unrolled some of this, and I am not going to roll this back up because this cord is going in the trash. Can y'all see this? And that has already begun to melt itself together. Now, the gauge on this is pretty thick. 16 gauge is what it looks like. A 1.31 millimeter squared times 3, I don't know. I bought this cord off of Amazon. Now, obviously I wanted to be able to get a good night's sleep, and I had a backup. I had the secondary cord, which is like a holiday outdoor cord, and I got it out, and I had maybe an extra few feet to spare, but I ran this out there, still a little sandy from Lake Somerville, but we ran this to the AC, and it got the job done. We were able to stay cool the rest of the night, no more problems. That cord, the yellow one, that's done. We're trashing this thing. That's a safety hazard. Now what I did notice the next morning was right here where these were bent a little. Right there. It was a little warm. It wasn't hot, nowhere near as hot as the other one, but it was a little warm. So I'm going to do some more research. I want to make sure that y'all are set up for success so that you're not in danger, because at that point I'm thinking I'm in a tent, and Tanya asks, do we have a way out of here other than the door? So a couple things to think of. Do you have one of these with you? Maybe you need to take one of these camping with you. It's just an option. The most logical is this. Have yourself some kind of a knife in the tent with you, because the tent has one way in and one way out. If anything were to happen, if there's a bad guy at the front door and you want to go out the back, you need a way to cut yourself out. So make sure that you have a knife with you in your tent for no matter what the incident is. The bear's at the front, you want out the back. The bear's the bad guy. There's so many different things. And you think I'm joking about bears. There's a reason why we have hooks to hang up our trash and put our food away, get the smells away. Bears will come into your camp at night. Another safety tip. Make sure you put your food somewhere so it can't be smelled. Because crows and raccoons, those are the least of our problems. When the bears show up, that's a scary situation. All right, last quick tip. This isn't too big. I'll go over this more in a later episode. Lighting. Make sure that you've got something to light your path. And you got to get up in the middle of the night and go to the bathroom. These state parks are dark. So even if it's not a state park, wherever you're camping, these things are very inexpensive. I think this was like $10. I can adjust it down to shine on my path I'm walking on. Several different levels of light. This is a safety issue. You need to be able to know where you're going. Because what if you like, hey, I'm gonna walk through the dark, and you step on a rattlesnake while you're walking to the bathroom? Wouldn't you have liked to have known that there was a rattlesnake in your path before you got to it? Be prepared. That's all part of safety, being prepared. All right. I know it's no fun to have to talk about these things, but we have to. Being prepared is a part of it. If you're the mom or the dad that's watching this video and you've got the little ones, you've got to do what you can to be ready for whatever safety issue pops up. Being prepared is the best possible way. So for me, I'm going to be buying some different a higher gauge of cords to run to the AC, as well as varying different lengths. And I'm going to try to know my campsite and know my distance from where I'm going to set up my tent to where my electrical outlets are. So that way, if I need a longer cord, I'll have the right one. Hopefully I can plan ahead for that. Make sure you do your planning. Use Google Maps. Google Maps is probably the best one. There is another YouTube channel out there that's called Campsite Photos. It's a little bland. They go through and show a photo of every campsite. So check them out. Maybe you'll be able to use that to see where you're going to set up your tents. But even if you're booking on Reserve America for Texas State Parks, they usually have anywhere from 3 to 5 photographs of the specific site you are reserving. So really try to look and see, where would I set up the tent in here? Where is the electrical outlet? And then try to gauge from there how much cord you need. I have this long one because when we were at Choke Canyon State Park, we didn't even want to run an AC at that time. We just wanted to be able to charge our phones. But we wound up having to use 3 extension cords because it was so far over. So, and using more extension cords, every little junction you use is a potential for heating up when you're using a high-powered item like the air conditioner. Why don't eggs tell jokes? Because they'd crack each other up. What do you call somebody with no body and no nose? Nobody knows. I don't trust stairs. They're always up to something. Oh, this is terrible. Happy camping, y'all. Stay safe.